Good morning, Herb.
Good morning.
Let's talk about Martin Scorsese's latest film. Will it be his last? I mean, that's a question I really want to know. When him and DiCaprio link up, it's like DiCaprio is the new Robert De Niro, and Robert De Niro is in this as well, of course.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Scorsese's leading men, he has a new favorite, and it's DiCaprio all day long. And I saw early reviews saying this is the best of DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Is it wrong?
No, it's the best he's been, and I mean it's pretty universal that this piece is really an opportunity for him to just shine in a way. I mean, you think about the first time you saw this kid, right? I mean, honestly, I say kid, but I mean
he was a kid.
The first time he was in What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Yeah,
and I mean,
hey, Gilbert,
honestly thought that he was disabled, right? I mean,
he was good,
killed it. Yeah. So he's been on this trajectory, and you're right. The combination of him and Marty is really great. The interesting thing about this thing, specifically for DiCaprio, is Jesse Plemons and DiCaprio switched roles. Okay, so originally DiCaprio was going to be the sort of the first FBI agent or whatever you want to call it that was sent to investigate these murders. And DiCaprio, I think he took a look at the script and he was like, "Wait a minute."
Right.
Hold on a minute. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the other guy. And so they switch roles. Big deal.
Now,
poor Plemons.
Is he the protagonist? Is the FBI guy kind of like the bad guy in this movie?
I wouldn't say he's the bad guy, but I think that the story here, for those who don't know, it's based on the true story of the Osage Nation, and they were an Indian tribe that was given the worst land possible until oil was discovered on their land, and then of course all the pale faces showed up and started killing them to take it back.
Damn pale faces.
So it's a really sad chapter in American history. It sort of launched the beginning of the FBI because the federal government got involved, which was very unusual because states' rights back in the 1900 was like, hey, stay out of our business, right? We're all very independent. So I think it was a more meaty role, and I think DiCaprio is very smart. His production company is one of the producers on this. There's also a co-production between, I think it's Paramount and Apple, because this is a huge price tag. I mean, a lot of money. Period epics are super expensive in the first place. Yeah. And then, then you got all this talent, look at that cast. It's obscene, right? And to be authentic, right? Scorsese met with the Osage Nation and made sure that he was doing things correctly, which a lot of times people don't do. The last person to do that right was Costner with Dances with Wolves, right? Yeah. With the Lakota. He actually met with them and they respected him, made him an honorary member of the tribe, I think. I mean, you got to do some honor here. So this is the thing about this. I'll tell you the one thing that might stall this a little bit is it's just under 3.5 hours.
Ooh, well, that's great when you're watching it on Apple Plus, dude. You know what I mean? Like, that's a series.
You can get up. Yeah, you can get up, use the restroom, whatever you need to do.
Yeah, well, Martin Scorsese fired his editors a long time ago, so it's not a surprise that it's that long. And honestly, in the day and age of binge watching, any movie that is under 2.5 hours in the theaters seems like you're getting gypped. In a way, and I don't know if that's a proper term you can say anymore, but in a way, like a 90-minute movie is a ripoff. And we're so used to having 10 hours of a story. Yeah. So having 3.5 hours is almost like they're screwing you of the next 6.5 hours. But hey, I know you can keep going.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's a really good point. I was just watching something last night that we can't talk about till next month.
Son of a bitch.
But it's called Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, and it's the new Apple TV series that's sort of in that King Kong Godzilla world, right? Where Monarch is the company that sort of watches over the monsters. Anyway, it's going to be 10 hours. I didn't watch all 10 hours, but it's going to be 10 hours, and I mean. That's how much time you almost feel like you need a story to breathe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At this point, you're right. We're used to that. We're used to things not just being an hour and a half, 2 hours. We're like, well, give me more. And so I think you're right. We've created, that's the one thing out of streaming. We've created a new audience demographic that wants more full stories, and you can't deliver that.
It's so weird, yeah, because one part of us is ADD and can't watch more than 30 seconds, and the other part of us won't settle for anything less than 10 hours. It's very confusing. And it is surprising to me that initially Leonardo DiCaprio was going to have Jesse Plemons' role, because it seems like Leonardo DiCaprio's role is the lead role in this movie, and dominates screen time. So why wouldn't Leonardo DiCaprio want this from the very beginning?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe because he felt like, oh, well, done the J. Edgar Hoover thing. I want to keep doing that. I know that role, right? And this is a little bit more of a stretch for him. So maybe at first he was like, I don't know if I know that character.
No, it's a leading guy. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm gonna break down like kind of stereotypes of Hollywood.
All right.
You're talking good guy, bad guy. So good guys, good looking, bad guys, bad looking. You know what I mean? Like this is how it's been tried and true. It's a formula that's been happening since motion pictures when Herb was a kid. So
talkie.
Yeah, exactly. So how could you put Jesse Plemons in that role, even though he's a fantastic actor? He's a little doughy and he's kind of got those serial killer eyes.
I agree with you. You're right. I mean, DiCaprio is much more of the stereotypical leading man. He's handsome. You're right.
The guy shags.
Yeah.
This guy shags nonstop.
And nothing older than 25, mind you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And then, Jesse Plemons, on the other hand, settled down with Kirsten Dunst. Not even like, Spider-Man Kirsten Dunst.
Oh, that's where I recognized him from. I was like, I swear, I don't think I've ever seen him act. I just know he's Kirsten.
And
no, he's good.
Yeah, no,
he's
I am
really
a fan.
Good.
He's
great.
fan.
Yeah, he's very good.
We're going to keep the conversation moving on the podcast broadcast there. We're going to talk about Herb's obsession with Taylor Swift. And we have more, so stick around. It's Rock 102.1 KFMA.
And out of those 3.5 hours, how much time is allocated to Rolling Stones?
Well,
he does the same playlist, and that's the thing.
Is the Rolling Stones in the movie?
I'm not going to.
Come on, fucking course it is. I would bet my left nut, and that's my favorite one.
That should be a Vegas bet.
Yeah, it is. And you know what song it's going to be as well. So it's funny with Martin Scorsese is just like every other person out there. Their favorite songs are when they were coming of age in adolescence.
Yeah, totally.
And that's what I've told this story before, time and time again. As a DJ, I look at the crowd. I try to guess the average year that they were 16 in, and I play music around that year, and people love me for it. Right? It's a dirty trick, but it's played. And I feel like with Martin Scorsese, I mean, he could have hired an editor, a music director. He could have hired all these people, but he's so hands on. And literally, when he envisions his stories, he is so locked into that time of his life when he was going through puberty, and those are the only songs that are featured in all the films.
Yep. But let's just remember, and he does have an editor, Thelma, who's worked with him on everything. But let's just
an easy job. You know what I mean? Like, you're an editor, but you don't have to.
Yeah. Okay, we're good.
But let's just remember, though, also, Marty he's like, what, 81?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you would call Marty like you've been cast in one of his films. You're not Jonah Hill.
I have pitched
Marty.
I have pitched Scorsese on a project. So
okay.
So
in person?
No, but his team.
Okay.
But think about that. So I mean, really, when he was 16, it was like Benny Goodman. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't necessarily Rolling Stones of 1970 because he was already making Mean Streets and stuff, right? When the Stones were sort of, early Stones, I guess 60s. But I hear what you're saying. It's like that absolutely. And he's made some great documentaries about music. I mean, the guy definitely is music focused, and there's a connection there between him and the Stones that is undeniable.
Do you think this could be the last film?
I don't think so. He's done some interviews lately where he's like, I feel like I'm running out of time, but I don't think he's
sad.
I don't think he's done. I will say that his hands-on, I mean, these things have got to take an enormous toll. If you think about how long it takes to develop this, and he's very hands-on, right?
Yeah.
When he does these things. So, he's out in the middle of, wherever he was, Idaho, North Dakota, wherever they were filming this, in the snow, right? And the guy's, he's 80 years old in his big puffy jacket. I mean, I think he may take a little bit less of a role, and he'd probably be doing a lot more exec producing of things. I don't think he's ever going to stop. I think he's a guy that when he passes, it'll be like, oh, who's going to finish these 3 things he was working on?